Yeah, so I think once a week we can just try and do Q&A session. There's a lot happening, a lot moving, and so just want to answer questions, get some feedback. What's working, what's not working, and then usually I get a lot of coding done over the weekend. So mic's open. Who want to go first? How's M2 working for everyone?
Okay, it's pretty cool. Like it. Is it possible to add a category for categories?
Sure. What do you want to see in there?
Maybe like BTC price, big price.
Yep.
Sometimes that could be used as a
Yeah, no,
can
I,
be just kind of
I like that. I was thinking about that the other day. It's a good indicator of, people's risk appetite. Yeah, so I like that. Good idea. What else?
I think that's it for me. I do like it. I think one other thing, because I know the primary focus, I think Q can be important because it's, and sometimes if spy has a larger, so depending on the day, the day.
Yeah, no, I think queues are good to trade as well. And personally, I only trade SPX because it's easier for me to focus. But I mean, so what? And I'm fine. I think it's good. I think it's good to. I would encourage everyone to focus only on SPY, SPX, ES, and QQQ, and forget all the other pretty girls because it's very distracting. And actually, Vic, I'm going to put you on the spot here in a minute so that you can talk about your journey as well. Then I'm going to have Chris talk a little bit as well. But Vic, he was running after every pretty girl, trading Tesla and everything else. And I'll let you have him tell you how that went. And then I worked on him and slowly convinced him to just focus on you know SPX and SPY. And that way, because I traded a lot of tickers as well, and then I got stuck in Meta or Tesla or something else, and then I was holding on to bad trades, and then I ended up missing the good trades on SPX. And once I started focusing, I did much better. But I do think it's okay to trade QQQ as well, because there's just days where SPY is just range bound and choppy, where you could be trading the Qs instead. As I think it's good if you say, okay, today it's a SPY day or today it's a QQQ day. So you're not trying to trade both at the same time. You're totally focused on one of them, and you're trading one of them, because I think focus makes a big difference. And saying that, so what do you want me to add in terms of the tool set we have? Are you asking that I should add in the notification system, add the ability to select QQQ as well, I assume?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I think that'd be good because I can send you guys a link, but there's I have a favorite. I'll send it to the chat. But I do notice that sometimes, because QQ is tech heavy, sometimes there's more volatility within tech. Sometimes, like, SPY just based off a certain level doesn't move, whereas it does base a little bit more. And then the opposite is also true. right? Where maybe tech is not moving as much, but you have like banking that's energy that's moving more, which means there'll be more volatility, which means trading. I think right now, and I agree with you, right? I think between SPX, SPY, and QQQ, those should be the only three we should watch. I've been burned by Tesla.
I would, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I would also suggest possibly IWM. That's another one that's SPY, SPX, QQQ, IWM. Those are really the main ones. But I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
But
happy
isn't
to.
NQ and QQQ kind of closely related?
I,
Nasdaq is pretty much QQQ, right?
no, I mean, so the QQQ, the futures for that is NQ. I mean, so sometimes SPY would just be choppy, and you'll see some directions in QQQ, and then IWM, that's the Russell 2000, and the futures for that is RTY. So I'm happy to add QQQ and IWM. I mean, personally, I would not touch IWM because I mean it's just much more choppy in my opinion. But it is a good indicator for the risk appetite, just like BTC.
Personally, I've got burned trading QQQ or NQ. It's just heavily too volatile compared to US.
No, I agree. I won't be trading it, but I mean, if you guys want to, if there's enough of you that want to trade the Qs, I'm fine adding it in the notification system. I don't want to add too much because I don't want you guys to get distracted with all of the pretty girls, because I do think that's a recipe for disaster. Let me
And I
see.
agree.
Yeah. So how
agree
many
with that.
how many people want to trade IWM before I add that? Can I, see a show of hand in the text channel, or open your mic?
I think I'm good with adding those as a secondary option. Like some of us, obviously
Okay.
the primary emphasis will be, yes, and right now just adding it there, secondary option. Personally, I don't think we're hurting, but just keep it to those limits. That's my opinion.
Yeah, each person is responsible for what they want to take. If you're not a fan of QQQ or IWM, no one is making you take those. Feel free to take only SPY, SPX, if that's what you're comfortable with. We're not telling anyone to take something. We're just offering a little information.
Absolutely, but I also I want to limit it to those. Then I don't want to add anything else because I really, I mean, my trading has gotten so much better after I stopped trading all of the other individual stocks, especially Tesla. I mean, that thing just. I mean, it just moves on a dime, and I've lost too much money with trading these other tickers. So I'm done with that. Um, Question, Andre. Sorry, no, Chris and Vic. So I'm putting both of you on the spot here, and I don't know about your time constraints. So I would like Vic to talk about his journey when it comes to focusing on SPX, and I want Chris to talk a little bit about how we went from holding onto losers. And so does anyone have any time constraints, or who want to go first?
I mean, I have a time constraint, but I won't take too much time. I'm just going to let everyone know that my trading has improved 100x ever since I started focusing more on SPY, SPX, QQQ. The other ones are just too volatile. Like Rick was saying, I would be in a trade, I'd be down 50%. It just wasn't sustainable for me personally. Maybe other people, but when it really started focusing on the indicators, SPY, SPX, QQQ, really that started to change because they move so much, and the return that you get on them is many times much greater than what you would receive in a Tesla or something else. So it just mathematically didn't work for me to keep on hoping to get 20%, 30% on a Tesla when you can get 50, 100, 200, God knows what percentage on these movers. And it's a little bit more predictable as compared to Tesla. So my trading's improved tenfold, hundredfold. I would highly recommend, the best traders I know out there, they focus on these tickers. So if you are serious about it, try it out. Let us know how it goes.
How long did it take for me to convince you to stop trading these other individual tickers? And I mean, what finally convinced you to go down that path?
I think I had a trade with you on SPX, and I had a Tesla going, and the Tesla was losing, and the SPX was winning, and I was like, "What am I doing?" And I just cut it, and I said, from that point on, I'm not going to focus on anything that doesn't benefit me or help. And again, I just started hearing Frick talk to me and saying, "Listen, this really does work." You know, he was patient. He worked with me on this, and I have to give him a lot of credit. And I just want to put that back out there. Take the time, take the effort, listen to him. He knows what he's talking about. And he really does help, and it really will change your trading.
So did you stop cold turkey, or did you ease into it?
I mean, it took me a couple times, but then I finally, when I started seeing the return coming in from the other ones, SPX, it just didn't make any sense for me to focus on, because when you're focused on a trade like Tesla and you're wondering what it's going to do at the moment in time, you may miss a really good trade. Vic would talk about this all the time. You're so focused on a loser, you're not looking at the potential winning trade that's right in front of you. And so many times that would happen. I would focus on Tesla or God knows what, and then I would see SPX bill run $10, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, I would have easily taken that if I was focusing on it." But the distraction, just that was really what got to me. It was just too much distraction focusing on everything else.
Good. Any questions for Vic, guys? Good. Well, I appreciate it, Vic. Chris, mic's yours.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so pretty much my journey started back at the COVID lows. Trader 17, who is Pavel, his real name is Pavel, and I started trading together. We started making really good money very quickly. I had a point where in 2 days I made maybe $85,000. And then just thought, this is it, I'm gonna get rich real quick. And gradually we started losing all that money, and it just went from adding this indicator, that indicator, adding to losers, playing extremely heavy positions, and all these market makers and algos. It's all affects the psyche. So whenever, let me turn this off. Sorry. Whenever there's a dip like it was today, they're trying to get people to buy into a put, and then things turn around and it goes up. So later on we found Adam, stayed with him much longer than we should have, kept taking more and more losses. I would add the losers constantly. It was always SPX, and we would predict the tops and the bottoms. Pretty much, it's like buying a put here and saying the market's run up too much. Or as Ripster likes to say, stop looking at RSI. It's up too high. It can go higher, or RSI is low. It can go lower. So after finding this group and talking to Rick for a while, I learned not to add to losers. Pretty much, if I get into a put and it goes against me, I have a defined loss at that point in that option. When I keep compounding it and adding on to it, it makes it so much worse. I would convince myself that I'm not going to add to this position, so I would enter a completely new position. So the $400 initial entry, I would add another $700 on a new position, and then the losses would just get greater and greater. So it's been hard, but I stopped completely doing that. And at the same time, even at this position, I really believe that SPY is going to pull back, but I won't buy it until I see it turn around. It's better, instead of buying 2-3 positions on a prediction of a pullback, I can wait for an actual pullback, and I can get in on 7-8 positions, and that way I'm in the trend. And my trades used to be, I don't know, 30, 40 trades a day, which would be, going in and coming out would equal 2 trades. So that's, call it like a 20, 25 trades. Um, I don't do that anymore. I started waiting. Trades are a lot less. I'm more patient. And all of this has been helping this group because it's such a small group. And, we have so many people just chiming in this group. Everybody talks, everybody shares, and it's not where it's like hundreds of people. And in like Adam's group, we had so many people that were following his positions, and he would enter, and hundreds of people would enter in, and it would just bump up his premium, and he would be out, and we would look at our positions and be like, how are we up 3% when Adam's up 15-20%? But this group has been an immense help, and it's just persistence. You just constantly have to be persistent. Don't give up, and eventually, if you just keep at your consistency, you'll be successful. Just as is with every other career and every other job, you just can't give up. And if you find that something's not working out, change it. Change it and try something else. And like I trade all the other tickers with like most other people. And now what I'm gonna do is for the next month, just avoid everything else, concentrate on SPY only, um, and just trade SPY. And if after a month, 2 months, if that doesn't work out, then I can change it out. But it seems that most people have a lot of success with it. And if the same people that have given me the advice of not adding to my losers and explaining why that doesn't work, and not predicting the tops, and same way explaining why that doesn't work. And these same people are also telling me just concentrate on SPY, try it out. Then that's what we'll do. It's all the criticism is extremely important, and we don't get defensive about it, and try to work on becoming better. We have a freak here who's um, putting in his time, putting in his money, and his love for the group and everybody is not just the words. As Freak says, talk is cheap. He's actually putting in the action of unconditionally loving on everybody and encouraging everybody to do well, and pushing everybody to be better, and challenging us to try this and try that. And it's been successful for him. And on the other end, we're also helping him in developing all of this, and giving our input. He's adding some stuff, taking some stuff out, and I really believe that we can get somewhere with this. I've lost a lot of money, 6-figure amount of money, and it's crazy to think. Sometimes I feel like I'm never gonna come back, but once you get this down, there can be a real big turnaround. I mean, even though I've lost so much money, I love this business. I love every part of it. I love the freedom that it can give me. I love that I can trade from anywhere. I love that the winners, can become so big. Like today, I entered on that pullback when Fed news came out, and it's just waiting for the right entry rather than constantly trading. I've learned 2-3 positions at a time. Wait for the right entry, go in with 5, 6, 7 positions, and you might have 1 or 2 trades or 3 trades, but constantly getting in and out with smaller positions just doesn't create the confidence, because you take a loss and then the real setup comes around and then you wonder, should I get in? Should I not get in? So it's been a very frustrating journey. Trader 17 will tell you. We've had some very tough days, some very frustrating days, weeks, months, constantly adding to the account. It's been a one-way journey. Some of these hedge funds are driving Rolls Royces because of me. So, but it's just don't give up, and just continue at it, and change your ways in not just in this but in life. It's all about discipline, every aspect. If we can discipline ourselves to wake up in the morning, and we can discipline ourselves to shower, discipline ourselves to pay the rent and go to work and do all those things, we should be able to discipline ourselves to not do certain things, and against my head and my better judgment of creating bad habits, I don't add. I don't add to losers. Yesterday, if I added it yesterday or the day before, if I added it to my loser, I would have really made money. And it's days like that that try to put me on tilt to go back to my ways, but I still don't do it, and I've stopped doing it completely. And it's the losses are a lot less. Even if I let something go to zero, which I work on not doing that anymore. Even if I let something go to zero, I know that my first position is my defined loss. I can't lose more than that. Before I would be in $5,000-6,000 positions because I kept adding new positions, adding to losers, and I have a real unrealized loss of $2,000, and I'm in the position fully at 6,000-7,000. I would never be in a call position at that level. But somehow I'm comfortably in a losing position with diamond hands, just sitting there, walking away, coming back. But when I'm up, there's no way I'm walking away from the computer. I'm watching it. I have stop losses in place, and I would let the losers be a lot more than the winners. But the things have really turned around since I've been in this group, and I'm very grateful. I'm very appreciative, and I love the input everybody puts in this group. I encourage everybody to contribute, everybody to put in the time. It's not, it's not fair for some of the people to put in ideas, write what they see, and other people, just to stay quiet and feed off of it. At some point, we all have to encourage, because sometimes a freak types something in, or Trader 17 types something in, and it makes me go into the chart and look at it, and that we're at a rejection point, or ES has a line of support or resistance, and it makes me second guess from entering the position at that point. But that's pretty much it. That's been my journey, and the market, the way it is, it can turn around at any point for you. You can go from losing all the money that I've lost and other people have lost, to within a year, 6 months, year and a half, just making this enormous comeback. And once you build that consistency, you can start scaling into larger positions, because at that point, the dollar amount doesn't matter. You've become so consistent that you're willing to hold a position when it's going in your direction. That's pretty much it.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate the kind words. Any questions for Chris, guys?
No, I just wanted to say I think Chris touched on something really important, which is don't add to your losers. That's probably the most important thing. Do not add to your losers. It's counterintuitive. You think I'm getting something cheaper, but that's not gonna. The one day that it doesn't work for you is going to destroy your account. Don't do it.
So right now, let's say Fed says something, and I on the 10-minute, the 3 candles back, there's a red candle. I decide Fed's right, that is bad, and I get into SPX. What is it? 45-60 puts, let's say, even for one day, for Monday position, and I'm down 30%. So I've one position, and it's $1,000. I've had a second position at 500, so I've averaged myself to 750 for 2 positions. Instead of being 1,000, now I'm in at 1,500. That position is down 60-70%. So I told myself I'm gonna get into 45-70 puts, second position. Now I'm in it another $1,000. So all in all, I'm in it 2,500. When I was initially in 1,000, being down 60%, I would have been down 600. Now with the losses I've taken and this pump right here, instead of being down 600, I'm now down 1,700. I'm frantic. I'm on tilt, and I get into you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna get into 0DT. I gotta get my money back. I make $70, $80, $100. I get out on those small pullbacks, and I just keep compounding this, and a $1,000 loss if I kept it all the way in, just one position. has turned into $3,000-4,000 position loss. And I'm sitting there almost every time. This is what I would do. Why didn't I cut it? I knew I should have cut it. And looking at it right now, as I'm in my puts, I keep looking at this and I keep telling myself, I know it's gonna go up. I know it's gonna go up, but my mind is not allowing me to think this way. So I keep going into the puts, and sure, let's say it turns back around and it goes down, and I would get close to even, and I would get to even and up $200-300, and then I would cut everything, and I would laugh at myself that I was willing to hold while I was negative 3,000 unrealized, but up $200, I've just cut everything, and then I would tell myself, oh, it worked, my idea worked. So the small, out of the 10 times you do it, once or twice it works, and it gets into your head that it can work, and the truth is that it's such an amateur play, and it gets frustrating because you would think after 3 years you would stop these stupid habits, but uh, somehow you're like, I deserve it. I would look at it and I would say I deserve it, and this pump right now that it's doing, it's like that secondary position that I would get into is just I would be hammered again, and it's if it doesn't work, cut it, go on the opposite, and you could make the money and then some. And it's worked for me. I would get into a spy put position because the charts, everything says so. I would be down 15-20% in the next 5-10 minutes. I cut it now and I get into an opposite position. I make that money back so much faster. And because you're on the right side of the trade, it's as Trader 17 and I like to say, it's extremely forgiving. The cloud is extremely forgiving if you're on the right side. Even if you get in wrong, even if you buy at the top, it's very forgiving. You can come back, you can make the money, and just like life, don't worry about the past. The past is the past. Worry about the future and what you can do to change it in life. And once you build that discipline, it goes into all facets of life in terms of how you are as an individual, what you want to do, not procrastinating, putting things off, and because life is all about discipline. If you can implement that into your trading, sky's the limit. Honestly, it's crazy the amount of money flow. No economic condition affects you making money. Recession, not recession, economy is booming, economy is down, business is bad, doesn't matter. Every day there's opportunity. So if I miss today, now I'm not worried. I'm not, bummed. I'm not stressing over it. I'll do it Monday. If Monday doesn't work out, I'll do it Tuesday. If tomorrow for some reason I can't trade, that's fine. I would take my laptop on vacation. I would do this. I would do that. And now it's just very different now. The only thing that I struggle with that's left on mine is mainly, even though my defined loss is set, it's risk management, just cutting it when it doesn't work. And when I buy into positions, it's just holding a position, even when I cut it, and like Freak did today, he held a runner. When Freak said I'm all out, I have one runner, I was already out of everything because I saw that I was up 50-60% and I was happy with that and I was out. But if I had held a runner, it would have been very different. And that's the only thing I struggle with is holding a runner while being in a position. I want to see that 70, 80, 90, 100%, 120. Even if it means from the 5 to 10 positions I'm in, it's that one last position that I'm up that crazy amount. That's what I want to see. And step by step, I don't expect everything to happen overnight. And everyone in this group has their own struggle. I would just encourage in the group for us not to keep adding stuff to these indicators. Keep adding, this level, this indicator, this stock, this ETF, that ETF. And when it gets really busy, the problem becomes if we're looking at, 10, 15 indicators and the market should run, but we see this one other indicator that's saying otherwise, it prevents us from getting into a position because not everything lines up perfectly all the time. And when we keep adding stuff and we keep, adding this, other than the Mancini levels, the VIX and the futures algo, and obviously all the other main ETFs. When we keep adding stuff, it puts us in a point of contradicting the position. So we say, you know what, we're not going to do it, and we miss out on the trade. Because, for example, DXY was strong, but the market's pushing up. We say, you know what, we're not touching it. But it's clear, yes, is breaking every level. You know, the cloud is there, the alpha zone is there. So I realized for myself, the more stuff I add, the more stuff I keep looking at, the more it prevents me from getting into a position, even though it's the right position to be in. So
Oh, you raise a good point, because every little bit of noise takes away your focus and it makes you more scared, and scared money does not make money. I mean, you cannot be scared. You have to be brave and you have to be disciplined. But, you know, if you if your system tells you now is a good time to get in, you have to take every trade that your system tells you to take, okay? And your system have to tell you when to cut your losses, and you have to do it. But if you don't take every trade, whatever your system is, whether you use our system or your own thing or a variation of it, doesn't matter. But you have to take every trade and you have to be disciplined, because you're only going to get good by practicing. And you have to stay small. You have to really stay small, because you have to work on that discipline. Don't play big, because that's when it's much harder to cut your losers, because you're like, wow, if I cut it now, I'm going to lose so much money. Then you end up losing 3 or 4 times that. But you cannot be afraid. You have to have a system. You have to play. You know, that system shouldn't have, you know, a lot of signals telling you to get in, you know, but when you get something that says get in, you know, you want to take it. So, I mean, take a look at my screen. If you look at this, you can see we have a yellow triangle, we have money flow, you know, on the 2 minute. That's what we trade with. We have the alpha zone. It's got yellow outline. You should be taking that trade. You know, if it doesn't work, you know, you stop out, you move on. You get to the next triangle. Blue triangle, money flow flat. Okay, that's dangerous. I mean, the first yellow triangle, obviously your next target is the VWAP and the 48. So that might say, okay, I'm not going to take that one either, because, you know, I might reject whatever it is. But if your system says take it, then take it. Next triangle, we're above the VWAP, above the 48. We have money flow. You know, you have the Mancini level. If your system says, you know, take it, then do it, okay? But you can see that it's a little choppy, but then you get more money flow. When the money flow dips and then go up, you know, obviously there was a good trade. This is the one we took on the chat. And, you know, because this nice dip happened because of a news event. So when you have news events, rules are different. You don't want to trade in front of them. You don't want to trade during them, unless, you know, you're playing that dip buy like we did today. Then we have a nice dip, but money flow stayed positive. So you're like, okay, there's not enough downside to make a change in direction. So once you start forming the alpha zone again, you start getting the yellow outline. Around here is another good time to get in. So whatever your system says, you know, you have to take every trade, and there shouldn't be a lot of signals. You shouldn't have more than 2 or 3 trades a day, because there's just not that many opportunities every day. And you'll find that if you wait for the right opportunity, you're going to do better, and you're going to have longer runs. Where I would encourage people to start with only 2 contracts, whatever you're playing, okay? And then you want to lock in profit on that first contract, and then use the second one as your runner if you think there's a trend. If there's no trend, then, you know, you're going to lock profit in on that one as well. But if you think there's a trend, the proven trend, then, you know, keep that second one and move your stop loss up. Try not to make it, you know, too tight. But those are things that we'll practice over time. But that's where you make the money. So you want to get to a position where you start with 2 contracts, whether you buy it at the same time or you buy one and then 2 minutes later you buy the next one so that you get maybe a better average price. But you get two contracts. You lock in profit on one when you get a big candle or you approach a level or there's multiple times to lock in profit. And then you take the second one as your runner and you set your stop loss. So now you're in a trade where you cannot lose money. You're already locked in profit on one of them. The other one cannot lose money. So even if that one stops out, you still made money. So now you're basically you're never going to win the lottery if you don't play it. Okay, and I'm not telling you guys to play the lottery, but the fact is you want to get in these trades where you risk out, you have a runner, and you cannot lose money. And if you can get into those, that's where the big returns will come. Because I mean, I've had runners went from $300 all the way to $7,500 on a single contract. Okay, you're not
Wow.
you're not going to make money here if you don't keep runners. I promise you, you're gonna make a couple of $100 here, a couple of $100 there, and then you're gonna lose 1,000 here, a couple of thousand there, and you're just never you're just never gonna be successful at trading if you do not practice holding runners. I mean, there's nothing to learn about how to hold runners. It's very simple. Do you think there's a trend? If the answer is no, then forget about runners. Okay. If you think there's a trend, then you get two contracts, you lock in profit on one of them, you set a stop loss on the other one. So if you take 10%, let's say, profit on the first contract, then you take the second one and you set the stop loss at minus 10%, whatever your profit was. And maybe you take a couple of points, so maybe at minus 8%, so you make a little bit of money if you get stopped out. But that's how you hold runners, okay? And then when there's a technical reason to get in, and then over time, when you're up $500, you can move your stop loss to $200 up so that, if there's a sudden turn, you're not going to get stopped out at break even, so you're going to keep a little bit of money, but you're not going to have a green trade ever go to red once you get there. So my recommendation, and it's not financial advice obviously, but what works for me is to get to that position as quickly as possible where I cannot lose money. My stops are in place, I locked in profit, I have runners. Okay, and most of the time, those runners just don't run. They don't make you a ton of money, but then you get the times where they do. And if you don't follow a system like that, you're never gonna make the money you need to be sustainable in this situation.
Yeah, like for example, I entered into an SPX position, 45-80 calls. I got 50% and 50 or 60%. I got out at 420. Now that was just one position because I already had SPY positions, but that 420 option is trading at 1210 right now, 1230, 1240. So it's already 400-500% up from the initial entry, and it's just it's like unlearning the bad behaviors is the problem I think most of us face, is because we learned bad habits, and it's about breaking down those bad habits and relearning new habits. And because we've lost so much, so you see a little bit of money, and out of fear you just take the money. And having been in this group for the past couple months, it's been a tremendous benefit to learn how to trade differently. And even without these indicators, there's no one yelling at you, there's no one cursing at you, everybody's patient. Listening to Ripster, it's just like this group, everybody just wants to help one another. And you look at the 10-minute trend, you look at the 2-minute, the ES, the levels. I think there's a really good setup here as a group, and it's having these conversations just no matter what's going on, it encourages each other to look forward to tomorrow, regardless of what's happening today. So, um, I like it. I love seeing people posting their percentage gains. It reaffirms, my position of it's possible, especially when some of the traders are making money now, and it's a good feeling to hear that. So anybody that posts that they made this or made that, it makes me feel really happy about it. I know that their journey might be a little bit different than mine, but we're pretty much all in the same position. Some of us have lost more than others, but for example, this month of December, I'm not going to touch anything other than SPY or SPX, and it's probably going to be mostly SPY, but no 0DTE, just SPY or SPX, and just I'll work on concentrating on this. And if it changes for me, then that's just the way it's gonna go. And whenever I'm doing really well, then sure, I won't mind to dabble in Nvidia or Tesla, because the loss I might take there, I won't care because I'm already successful on this end. But for the time being, I think it's best to concentrate on just SPY or SPX and take it from there, and just not worry so much about growing the account as much as being consistent. And that's what matters here, not the dollar value, but the consistency in the trades. So you're not jumping in constantly on random trades. Like I would wait for a pullback here to enter in this position, currently where it's at, and that's the consistency to make sure that you do the same thing over and over again.
Yep.
Okay, I'm done talking.
That's okay. Thanks, man. The other important thing I just want to raise as well is that, I mean, most of us have lost a boatload of money, okay? And if you're trading to make that money back, I promise you that's the best way to lose money. At least it is for me. If I go in with the mentality I want to make my money back, whether it is the money I lost over the years or whether it is trying to make money back on a trade that I just lost on, then I do stupid things. I start chasing things, and then just as I get in, it turns around. Or or I feel I missed a trade, and now I jump in twice as big because I missed this trade, so now I want to make another trade. If you have any kind of mentality where you want to make your money back, don't, because it's likely that you lose more money. You have to remember that you're not making any money back. You're making new money. Okay, the money that you lost, it's lost forever, and you will never get it back. You'll make new money, but it's nothing. There's no idea. You should never connect the money you lost with the money you're trying to make. You have to think of every trade by its own, and you have to know that any trade you take can work or not work. And so never make it like I was wrong. My trade didn't work out. No, it's not my trade. It's the trade. Okay, the market, the indicator told me, everything said that this is how it's going to go. So I got in. My system said it's a go. I got in. It didn't work out. I stopped out. That's the system. Now I'm waiting for the next trade. So super important. Any other questions for Chris, and any other comments? Then I'm going to see if I can get Money for Life to talk a little bit about, because she's saying that she back tested a lot of the charts with the indicators, and if she's available to be put on the spot, if she can tell us a little bit about her findings, I'll appreciate it. Any other questions for Chris?
No questions, but just want to say the money that you spend already, just consider that part of your education. You put that into learning, and now you're going to go forward, and don't worry about the money. Focus on the consistency. The money will come.
That's right. It's a $500,000 course you took.
I was about to say it's a very expensive lesson learned. So every time I would lose money, I would say I just paid for some hedge funds mortgage or their Rolls-Royce car payment. But I do my best to not look back and just look towards the future. It's just money. One day you'll have more, one day you'll have less. But just concentrate on the future. That's all.
Exactly, and if you're disciplined and you wait, I mean, you guys know by now that most of the better trades happen later in the day. I mean, I don't care what anyone says, but the trades later in the day make me more money usually than the trades early on, because early on the movements are much bigger. I mean, even look at today. I mean, it's like there was a great trade, but it doesn't. I mean, it pales in comparison to this last triangle. And yes, there was a dip that we bought there. We got in at the perfect time, because we expected them to dip it as it was starting. But it's like go back in time. You'll see that the better trades are later in the day. So if you have a cash account, don't use up all your buying power, before the good moves come, and then you just have to sit and watch. So patience super important. Any other questions for Chris? Money for life? Are you available to be put on the spot?
Sure.
Thank you. I knew you would do it.
Very, very great lessons, I mean, the story is very, very similar. Started off after COVID as well. And I've lost money in six figures too. And I know the feeling. And, it's all part of learning, I would say, at this point. Um, but yes, I was part of Adam's group, and actually my husband was part of Adam's group, and we both are actually engineers, so we both sort of have the same interest. So that helped initially. We got into this trading. Well, initially we started off with our investment journey, and then investment went sideways as all the hot stocks that were flying during COVID time were just doomed pretty much. So that and we took that mentality with like long term and this and that just went sideways. um, so again, the initial intention was to recoup the money, as we were just learning about. That money's gone forever. But that was the initial thought process there, and we tried some options, and some options initially worked out great. I made $10,000-$15,000 in one trade in like a couple of hours. It was crazy, and I think that's where. And it was from like I think I bought $1,000 position and I was up 15,000 in like a couple of hours. It was that crazy, and so thought, oh, this is easy, and could replace our jobs, and all the good things that were happening at the time. And sure enough, all that money went down the drain, and more and more. And next thing we know is that we're at the end of 2023 and we have lost more than six figures. But what I've done is change many habits now. So one thing I've literally stopped, and it's been like maybe a month or so, and my losses have gone down like more than 50%. Let's talk about losses first. Gains, yes, but what I've stopped doing is adding to losers. No matter if initially I would even let the position go to zero. That's not happening anymore. I have a hard stop at 50. No matter how emotional I am, no matter what's going on, no matter if that position comes back to green, I cut it. And if I see like like right now I cut it at 2030, but if I'm in a wrong position, I'm even cutting sooner. Because now I see that it's not happening. The candles, like starting to learn the price action, the higher VIX, the lower lows that are happening, the VIX that's going in a different direction, all these things that are flashing to my face every second has stopped me lose more. So that's one thing. So if we stop losing more, we're definitely going to gain more. That's the mentality. And I've stopped being FOMO. That's another one. If a trade has run, like have had his run for the day, and if something has run, like maybe SPY has run, right now it's probably like approaching the highs of the recent highs that we had. I'm not touching it. So it doesn't matter. If I did not enter at the right time, yes, on a trend days, things are a little different. And you know how Frick takes his lotto. I saw your message today and I just didn't for some reason. That was a big red candle that scared me. I didn't. But then when I saw it come back and I saw some, other indicators, the money flow was there, the buying pressure. These things are all flashing to my face every second now. So that tells me if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I cut it. So I've stopped losing more. That's one progress I've made last month. Second progress that I have made is that I have back tested, as Frick said, many days and seen why I should have taken the trades that I did not take and why I made the wrong calls where I cut my trades. And I was on call with Vic one day. I think, Frick, you were busy with the baby. And I took again, you know how I was unlucky, I think yesterday or day before, I took a trade. It was a blue triangle on the 2-minute chart, but I didn't pay attention to the wicks. So we were below the 3448 cloud on ES. However, we were not above the cloud on wicks. So in order to take puts, we should have been above the 3448 clouds. So those are my strict rules now. Even though the trade runs, doesn't matter. Like I have the set of rules now, and Vic showed me. Okay, he reviewed the trade with me. Which one did you take? And we saw, and he said I wouldn't even have taken that trade because VIX was below the cloud. And thank you, Vic, for that, because that one statement that he made that day now makes me go back and look at every time when I'm looking at the triangles, where's my VIX? Are they on opposite side? So those things, like make new set of rules every single day and then just follow them. That's it. So number one, started cutting losers. Number two, making sure all these triangles and go back. At the end of the day, I sit back, like after market hours, whenever I get time. If I don't have time, we're all busy. I have two little ones at home, and all the little ones, they want mommy all the time. So, and even if it's at night, whenever, I go back and review the day and say, okay, which triangles did I take and which ones I didn't, and what was the decision and why did I take them, and what went wrong and what went right. That is now helping me. And then talking it out loud has also helped a lot. So when I talk that, when I review those trades at the end of the day, and I talk back to myself, it helps me. It helps me reading the price action. It helps me reading the wicks. Okay, the long wicks. Look at that, and look at the candles. It bounced from that level. It bounced from a Mancini level, or it rejected that Mancini level, the pre-market low, the high. Like talking it out loud to yourself will help a lot. And just these little habits. And now I'm just I've just made some strict rules to myself. When I get better, maybe I can start taking a little bit more risk. Right now, unless I see a purple cloud with a solid line, I don't take the trade, no matter if it's a call or a put. Right now I'm focusing on 2-minute, but if I go back and look at the 1-minute, there are many scalps that you can do and some really good ones. So just getting making sure that I follow the rules, and write it down, like write it down on a piece of paper, review them every morning, like 5 minutes before you sit on your desk. Repeat them to yourself. I'm not taking a trade where Wix and ES are on the opposite side. I'm not taking a trade when I don't see a purple cloud. I'm not taking a trade when there's too many news events or Powell speaking, or something like that. So, and then another thing that has helped me is looking at the 10-minute and the 5-minute. So that also gives me like a good picture. So how are we doing, on a higher time frame? And again, these are just some of the things that have made a tremendous mindset change, if you will, in terms of building good habits, and then just cutting out the losers, cutting out the bad habits. And I really lost a lot of money by just adding to my losers, because one day everything turned green, and the other day I remember this one day I was in like SPX call, and the trade went sideways. It was minus 20%, and my initial position was $4,000. And just by adding to my loser that day, the market was just going south. And by the time, my position was deep into the red, after adding multiple times, it was an $18,000 position. And that was really, really, the day that I will never forget in my trading journey, because it just happened in July, I think late end of July, when the market was going up, and all of a sudden we had a big red day, and we were hoping, oh, it bounces from VWAP. Sure, wait for it to, touch the VWAP. Okay, it break to the VWAP. Oh, it's just going to hunt the stop losses, it's going to bounce back. And it never did. All the emotions just start kicking in and kicking in, kicking in. And sure, like, at about power hour or something, the market did come back, and I was up very, very nicely. I think I was under maybe $2,000-3,000, and just, so coming back from deep red to negative $2,000-3,000, I was hoping for it to cut even, and that hope for it to cut even went south again, and I took an $8,000 loss. So, and that was my biggest loss in a trading journey on a single day. I mean, not that I've had more than whatever losses, but that trading day taught me, and I wiped out all my monthly gains and plus more on that particular day. So you know what? From that day onwards, I stopped. I mean, yes, rarely I did. I would add. I would still add, but now from past month, I'm not adding to my at all. What? No matter, like, I'll make up in another trade. I'll make up another day. If it's down more than 20-30, I'm cutting it. Doesn't matter. Period. I can make that 20-30% from another trade. Why are we just so stuck and stubborn to make that from that trade only? So just cut it. Like, I mean, that's something that I have mentally prepared myself. I think last week I was down 30% on a position, and by the time my stop, like, I hit the sell, the candle was so big that it filled me at a price where it went even below. I think my position was cut at 40% or something. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. I was out, and that's the mentality you need to have. I think I did a lot of talking today.
Oh, I love it. And, thanks for sharing some of your journey, and feel free to share more of it, because I think it's really helping other people. Because sometimes, we get so depressed when we make the same stupid mistakes over and over and over again, and it's like, can I be this stupid? It's like, it just feels like there's something wrong with your brain, and you do all these stupid things over and over. And just yesterday I said, I'm never going to do that again. And I'm an intelligent human being, I'm an engineer, I'm this, I'm that, and I keep making the same mistake over and over. And it's like, is there something wrong with my brain? And the fact is that the things that work for us in real life doesn't work with trading. So all of your gut instincts is wrong. Everything your gut tells you is wrong. Okay. Now, maybe if you trade for many years like Adam, and you get that experience, I mean, I think he is a very good intuitive trader, but that did not happen overnight. So for everyone else, your gut is wrong. Well, I know mine is. When my gut says it's a good time to get in, that's when I lose money. It's like, when I follow the indicators, I make money. But yeah, so thanks for sharing that. I think it's very important. Feel free, if you want to share more of your journey, go ahead if you want to.
I would also just suggest for everyone, if you're doing this, if you're trading, you made Money for Life made a comment where she said when she was getting out of the candle that it filled her at an even lower price. SPY tends to have closer bid ask. So if you're just getting into the trading and you're learning, you can trade SPY, which has a much closer to a bid ask. So the bid won't go away so much if it goes against your try the SPY initially. You can buy more of it. SPX is great, it's fine, but the bid ask is closer in SPY, so you'll get a better filling. You can buy more of it if you want to. and you won't have such a large immediate drop away on the bid loss like you would potentially with SPX. Just
Well,
my 2 cents.
If you have a candle that
That's
goes
very happy.
against you, though, you know, and if you sell it market on a big candle that goes against you, it will still happen even on SPY. So you're right, but just remember, if you wait for that big candle that goes against you and you sell it market, you're gonna lose way more than what you think. So you have to cut it sooner, basically.
Yeah, and sometimes I realize, like when I'm in a trade and I see that it's going south, just by the price movement, like you see the next wick is lower than the previous one, the next one is even lower than the second wick. Like you see the momentum stalling. You'll start seeing it that it's not going in your direction, and at that time, like you are 5% down, 10% down, cut it. And that's what I did, like 2 3 days ago. Like I was in a trade and I saw the next wick was down, the third one was even down than the second one, and for sure, like I was seeing that it's not going in the direction I wanted to go, so just cut it. So I cut it like maybe at 8 or 9%. It doesn't matter if it comes back, I'll buy it again. So I know the mentality I had is that, oh, it's okay, it's 8 9%, it's 10%, it's gonna come back, that's okay. But then no, sure enough, it goes down to 20 and 30, and by the time you're deep red, you're like, oh my God, how do I cut it? I should have cut it before. Like you'll see by the price action, you will start seeing the candles, you'll see the momentum is gone, you'll see that the candle wicks are lower than the previous ones, so it's not going the way that you want it to go. So then just cut it, even though if it's at 8 9%, don't wait for it to be at 20 30 with your whatever the automated stop loss is or hard stop loss is, which is what I've started practicing now. Starting this month, that's what I'm going to do. So last month I started cutting earlier and my losses were substantially down. And this month I'm going to start practicing just by looking at the pure price action. So are the candle wicks higher? Are the candle wicks lower? Where's the money flow? How's the buying pressure? Where's the wicks? Like, looking at all those things, if I could even cut my losers earlier and see where the price is going. That's, I mean, not that I'm super smart at that already, but my focus is to just focus on that and taking trades only when the clouds are purple with a solid line. That's it. All you need is a one good trade for the day, one or two. And not even for a day. Like sometimes on a trend day, like right now, if I would have left a runner, the SPX call that I sold at $3.30 is at $7.80. So that's all you need. But you will get there. I hope so. And with all these, good learnings that we have had, teachings that Frick has been giving, it's amazing. And you know what? Just talk it out. Talk out your trades. It's gonna help so much.
Yeah, I think that's really
That's
important. Is if you explain your trades to someone else, when you explain something, you have to think harder and you basically understand it better. It's like if someone gives you a math problem and they say here's how you do it, you're like, oh yeah, makes sense, I get it. But if you have to go do it yourself and you have to explain it to someone else, it's much harder. And the more you do that, the more practice you get, the better you'll get at it. And if you live alone, get yourself a teddy bear. Go explain to your teddy bear how it works. But just get a fake friend. But the more you can explain and talk out, and instead of predicting what's going to happen, you're going to do better. Because I mean, look at my screen here. Look at the 2 minute. Look at the 1 minute. Look at this big dump here, and so anyone that looks at it, this is where they trap the newbies, because here's a big dump and it's like, okay, the market's finally turning around, okay, and so here's where people get into puts, and then they like, oh, thanks for your money, and then you go back up. You have such a strong move. You look at the 10 minute and you can see we're clearly in an uptrend. You see the upper band green. You should not be playing puts, okay? Our system clearly shows you that. So when you see this blue triangle, this is your signal to say, okay, I'm gonna get in small. And remember how we play these trend days. When you have a nice dip like this, you want to try and again get two contracts. When you approach the eye of day, you want to lock in profits on one of them and then keep the runner on the next one, and you want to rinse and repeat. So on trend days, you want to use the 1 minute chart for your entries, and you can see this was another good entry. And it's a very simple system. You know, the 2 minute, it's a yellow triangle. 1 minute, blue, yellow. Boom. There's your entry. Okay, here we go. Get two contracts, lock in one at the eye of the day, and then keep the other one as a runner. You get another, and that's all you do. You play small, and your runners will make so much money, and you risk much less by keeping these runners and let them run.
Hey, Frank, another thing to point out is on that little blue triangle down on the 1 minute,
Mhm.
notice that the money flow is still very, very yellow.
Exactly.
So that should be, when you're reviewing your trades, that should tell you, okay, this is clearly they're just going after a top line. Over here, the money flow is still very, very bullish. That's not a time to go short.
I would definitely agree on this, because it's on a trend day like today, where the 2 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, hourly, everything is looking bullish. You should never be looking at puts, even if it pulls back and the alpha zone dissipates and the 2 minute goes negative. Until you see an actual level breaking on the futures, you should treat this as a pullback to enter into a call position, unless otherwise everything just starts changing, and you'll know that when that's happening.
And even look at the beauty of the last candle on the 1 minute of the alpha zone at the bottom of the alpha zone. Look at that bouncing, that beautiful wick that shows you that this isn't really selling, because that bottom candle on the 1 minute, the bottom of the alpha zone, some people will be like, oh, okay, maybe it's time to get out. Well, you're seeing that it's not really getting out. It's just testing it a little bit. They're just making your money. That's all they're doing.
Exactly, I agree.
Yeah, and again, you should be okay to miss trades. Okay, it's it's a bad habit to want to get into every trade, because like if it now runs and it dumps all the way to the bottom, which could happen if I look at money flow, it should be okay if you miss those puts. You shouldn't be hitting yourself up over trades that you missed, because that's how you feel FOMO. If you beat yourself up because you missed a good day of trading, you're making your FOMO stronger. You should never ever beat yourself up over lost trades. It's just, that's the thing I've learned. It's like every time I'm like, oh man, it was such a great trading day, but I had to go look at the baby's sonar scan, and it's like, no, it doesn't matter. And yes, the baby and mom are doing great. She's a week and a half old now, and everything's going well. But when you're there, it's like every day we go for a scan, the market has this big move, and I'm like, this is the most expensive baby ever. But that's okay. I don't beat myself up, and it's really important that you can watch and see a trade happen. It's like, I'm done trading for the day, and that's okay. If there's a big move, I'm not gonna get in. And okay, so money flow is recovering. So this is again, looks like just another, give me your money for puts, because we're still going up. But for a change in direction, you want to see money flow getting negative. You want to see the VIX having strong moves up, and that rarely happens. But that's the only way you should even consider taking puts. But it's so risky. It's just not worth it. So it's just almost better to wait. And I would wait on the 10-minute, on days like that. On the 10-minute, you want to see the new candle that have a lower high and a lower low compared to the previous one, before you even consider getting in. So that was a little off topic, but I just wanted to bring that up since we talked about it. Any other questions for Money for Life? And then I'm gonna open it up for anyone else that want to share their journey, because we're having such a great moment of sharing, the things we've learned and the mistakes we've made. I think I want to give anyone a chance that want to talk about that. Is there anyone else that want to share their journey, and and even how this group or indicators have helped them, just so that other people, because when they hear what worked for you, it might help them take certain things more serious. Because I think when we lose money, we tend to jump to the next indicator, and they were like, okay, well, maybe I just have to learn more and I'll do better, so it's like that, what's the next shiny object, instead of just finding something that works, even if it doesn't work for you yet, there's other people that it works for, and just go study it, really give it good effort to see if it works for you. If it doesn't work, then obviously move on. But it's really important to stop jumping around to different shiny objects, stop listening to a ton of people, just get the noise level down. And that's what we're trying to do in this group, so I appreciate it that no one's posting a bunch of memes, because I just delete them right away, because I really believe in focus. But yeah, anyone else that wants to grab the mic?
Hey, Freak, I'll just do a quick thing.
Thanks.
Sure. As far as journey, Chris pretty much covered this Trader 17, by the way. So basically, real quick, I wasn't really into stocks or anything like that. Right around COVID, I used to trade SPXU as a stock, which is like the inverse of SPY 3 times. And it was just stocks. And, it'd be days like I'd be up 3-4 grand, days I'd be down 3-4 grand. And it was just pretty much would end up being even over the, 5-6 days of trading, whatever. And then Chris said, oh, there's this thing called options. I said, what's that? So pretty much I saw he was doing well, so I jumped in. And we did well in the beginning, and then eventually, we both lost money. He knows it, and we were together when California did the shutdown. We didn't know anything about risk management. We didn't understand options. That day, I think I was up like $19,000. Ended up negative $5 grand on the day, so I had a pretty nasty swing. But we just didn't know how to manage. Pretty much after that, it's just been learning from other people. I'm still learning. I try to share as much as I see with everyone in the group, just so that they can see what I look at, and hopefully it helps them, or they could tell me I'm wrong on something. I try to. The biggest thing for me is trying to understand the psychology of the market, and part of that is just the things that I would share with you guys. As I feel like earlier today I said that DXY and IWM usually don't go together; they're inverse. So something's got to give. And if you look at the dollar now and you look at the bonds, you'll see that they're negative and IWM still positive, and the whole market did a shift. So that's what I kind of look at a lot of times, is like try to figure out, do we have a true move, or is just a fake out essentially. So for me, all the upside or downside in the markets, you look at other sources, and if you and this is, again, I'm just learning, so don't take everything that I say as if I know what the hell I'm talking about. But like even with in the morning, I put the plan at it was at 6:45 a.m. I put the plan that, hey, if we're above the clouds on the Qs or NQ, ES, and the RTY, and we're above the Mancini level with the retest, we have a good chance of the trend. And I try to find trends more than chops. Like, I'm okay with taking no trades in the day, or maybe one trade in the day, as long as it's a good setup. And one of the things I had told Chris, and this just kind of came to me maybe a week or two ago, I said, I'd rather get a easy 20% than a hard 40%. So I try to find those easy 20% gains, whatever that may be. And it's funny because I actually ended up taking the trade earlier, and I cut it because Powell was speaking. But around 8 11:22 my time, which would be 11:22 Eastern, the NQ retested the cloud, which was the plan that I put in at 6:45, almost 2 hours earlier. And you can see kind of after the retest, that's when the market started moving. So a lot of times it's just looking at the things that we have. I mean, Freaks created an amazing tool. It's helped me immensely. I look at M2, like if you look at M2 now, I mean, you can clearly see it's a trend. You see, 80% of the things are green. And the things that are red are the things you kind of want it to be red, with the exception of Microsoft and Meta. So when you see these things, I mean, that kind of should give you the confidence that you should be on the call side and you shouldn't even be considering the put. Because your put, you might make a 5-10%, you might get a 15%, but you're constantly going to have people trying to buy the dips because it's a trend day. So it'll be very hard for you to hold a put position. For me, it's just constantly just studying. I try to get about an hour in every night, just looking over charts and just understanding them, understanding the concepts of it. I think like right now, we're probably in a short squeeze and we're probably going to keep pushing. Just because if you look, I think we're, years high and we've probably cleared out just about every level there is. So most likely we're going to have a short squeeze, going on. But just kind of the understanding those things, and that'll help you. And the biggest thing, and everyone talks about it, is just not doing dumb stuff. So sometimes that I'll push things is just for me try to prevent people from doing something dumb. It's not that I'm correct, but if someone posts there that they want to take a put right now, I'll be like, no, don't do it. You might win, you might get it right, you might get 100%, but odds are against you. And we're just trying to play the odds. And that's pretty much it. I just want to jump in and give my 2 cents.
I appreciate it. That's very important. Anyone else? Well, I appreciate everyone's time. I'm not gonna.
Greg, if you're talking, your mic.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thanks. I just realized it. Anyone else that want to grab the mic? Okay, I'm not gonna keep you guys any longer because if anyone wants to wait for a re-entry signal, I'm done trading for the day. I'm not gonna give my losses back, but just so a little bit in terms of the roadmap, on M2, I'll be putting your trade notifications in the database. We'll track them by trader. We'll start assigning points to good trades and bad trades and etc. And then the next big thing I'll be working on is the Mancini level. So we'll be putting those into M2. So you'll see on the left, you'll see basically the current ES price and then the next targets going up and down. So you'll see like the next target is VWAP, then the 48, then the pre-market high, then yesterday's high, and then going down. So you'll see a list of the targets, the next targets going, up and down, and then also how far away you are, because those are the points where you want to lock in some of your profits. You want to expect a possible, bounce, etc. And so that's the next big thing we'll put in, and then we'll do trade suggestions and notifications based on that as well. Good. So any last comments before I wrap this meeting up?
All good.
Well, thanks, guys. You have a wonderful weekend, and we'll chat again on Monday.